I just got back from IT Nation Grow in Houston. What a wonderful event. It's early February 2025. I got to speak to 10 great guests at this IT Nation Grow as part of Evolve, which are the peer groups, which I was a member of for, oh my goodness, close to 20 years. I was a facilitator for a while in the managed service provider industry. But I was invited to go there. Grow is a particular event in the middle of the Evolve meetings and on the Wednesday, where it talks to MSPs about looking to when they're going to make their exit, if they're going to merge, get acquired, or acquire others. It's quarterly event, but I had 10 great conversations. It started with Kass Lawrence from Blumera. Great conversation with Kass, Brian Hoppy, Kevin Hogsmoser, who I've spoken to before, John Cooper, TJ Terrell, TJ Jackson was a great conversation with TJ, Tom Hermstead, great conversation. I first time I spoke to Tom. Hardin Byers, my goodness, I've known Hardin for 15 years. I haven't seen him. He was back. They're putting the band back together. I had a great conversation with Hardin, Nick Recker, MSP, Blue Alliance. Never spoken to Nick before. Great conversation. Sean Brown, my friend for many, many years. He's got an exciting new consulting firm along with his MSP that keeps growing. And Dr. Larry Little. I had the great pleasure of knowing Larry for 15 years. Haven't seen him for, my goodness, 5-6 years. And we caught up and we caught everything on camera. It was a great conversation. So I want to thank all those guests. I want to thank Arlen Sorensen for inviting me, Matthew Lavender, Scott Scroggin, and all of ConnectWise. Just a wonderful event. One of the breakouts at the Grow event. Had my two very good friends, Brian O'Shaughnessy and Rob Bruce, talking to the group via Teams, via virtual, about their merger, which is a great event. Proud and glad to be part of it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually asked them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
So why is travel a great education?
Why is travel a great education? Oh my gosh, it depends on how you look at travel to answer that question. So with me, I love traveling because I will go to everything historical I can find.
Historical?
And yes. If there's a city that has anything to do with history, I will go on every single history tour there is, because it's so neat to find out, not just different people, cultures, in the history.
So domestic? Because there seems to be a lot more history internationally because we're a young country.
Yes, but I haven't been domestic except for when I was younger with my family. But outside of that, I really outside of Canada, and I really don't consider that international travel. But no, it's on my bucket list.
Interesting. And any particular era, Civil War, First Nation?
Actually, I love World War II history. So if you ever listen to George Carlin,
yes,
his podcasts,
yes,
amazing.
Yes,
amazing
those are really
podcasts.
long. And very interesting podcast he has.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I love them. They're actually great.
Yeah, they are really great. It's amazing where podcasting has gone.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's 4 million of us, so you really have your.
Well, plus we get rid of the History Channel because I don't have cable anymore. So it's like, okay, where am I going to get all my history from? So now it's podcasts.
Now, your husband had an MSP.
Yes, he did. And he also has a YouTube channel and decided that he didn't want to be a boss anymore. So he merged his MSP with another one and stepped out of the ownership role and now just pretty much concentrates on his YouTube channel.
And did you, were you, what did they say, a widow of an MSP? I mean, so were you involved? They said that with golf too, golf widow.
Right.
Yeah, so were you involved at all with the MSP?
Yeah, I would go to events and everything else with him. I would go to these conferences because that gave me an opportunity to travel and do my thing while he was at the conference. But then I would go to the events and meet people and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Right. Did you try to talk him out of starting an MSP?
No, he already had a computer company when we first got together, and it just gradually grew into an MSP. So yeah, no, I was.
We all started with in the '90s. It was pretty much a computer company. Yeah,
break and fix,
break and fix, and did some network support, some programming, and then eventually went to this model.
Right.
And so when you he's part of a peer group. When you came to these events, like what would you do then?
He would just come because mostly just to meet with people and go to the tech tracks, things like that.
Right.
So, and he loves to be around other fellow nerds, as we like to say. So, he just loved going to them. So I would go with them, and there's a certain amount of like osmosis that you just absorb being married to somebody in the community and in the MSP.
Plus, you get to travel because there's definitely interesting destinations. And when he decided to get out, tell me what that process was like.
When he decided to, I was shocked. I never thought he would sell his company. Yeah, but no, but I could tell he was starting to get frustrated being the owner, and he wanted to do more YouTube, and it was just too much of a hindrance on him. So it took a while for him and his now partner to come to agreement and stuff like that because he gave up most of the control.
Wow.
So it took over a year for him to actually make that switch, but. So much happier now.
He is.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore you are.
Yes.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
July of 2023.
Oh, wow. Not that long ago.
Nope.
Wow.
So it's newer, but a lot of fun.
And so he's completely out of it.
Not out of it. Like I said, he still has a YouTube, which is tech.
Yes.
So he has to be into it just to keep up to date on everything.
And so Blumera comes to you and says, hey, we need help. You have some MSP experience. Come on board.
Jeremy with Blumera, he unfortunately is no longer with us, but
no longer with the company.
No longer with the company. Sorry, yes, he did not.
He's with us here on Earth, but he's no longer.
He's dead to me. No, I'm just joking. No, I've been hanging with him all day yesterday. Yeah. No, he's wonderful. But he and I became friends at some of these conferences, and he liked my personality and said, "Hey, when we have an opening, I'm bringing you on board," and he did.
So we're here at IT Nation Evolve and Grow in Houston. We're in the first week of February 2025. What are some of your goals here, Kass?
My goal here is to talk to as many MSPs and other vendors as possible, because this is a completely different space than the usual conference. Here I get to actually talk and get more interaction with MSPs as to what they want. And whereas conferences, you're at a booth, people are coming up and you're just pitching your product. Here you're actually talking to the MSPs. You're actually getting an idea of way more than just, doing a product pitch to them.
And what is your message to MSPs here?
Our message?
What's yours? Yeah. What are you trying to tell them? What are you trying to help them with?
Security, mostly, and just to let them know, that I'm here to answer any questions. So I think Blumera is a great product. It's easy to get behind and easy to promote.
So when I talk to MSPs now, Kass, there's 3 things that keep them up at night. And it's security. They're worried about their clients getting attacked. 2 is human capital. They're worried about people leaving, people coming. We just talked about that right now. It's just very tough to replace that talent. And then just growth, organic growth. How are they going to grow? Private equity has turned the MSP industry upside down. So keeping those 3 things in mind, how can you help?
Well, security first and foremost should always be their number one concern. We're in the age of every other day you're hearing about this ransomware or this breach and this CVE. And so it's very important that we do keep security topmost in mind. And that's where we can come in and help with the security, you know. But we also have like an entire team, and our whole team is based from MSPs, which is a beautiful thing in this space, because we can actually go in there. We have growth specialists within our company that can actually talk with other MSPs and talk to them about how to also help them when it comes to growth. And, you know, and the other thing we like to talk to them about is capital, because as you know, as an MSP, most people have so many different products in their stack. There's so much overlapping.
Yeah.
There is not a one size fits all. There's not a single pane of glass, things like that. So, you know, you really have to have these deep discussions with them about what is going to be the best fit for them. So,
And does it help that you're kind of on the inside as well, because you were part of an MSP for so long?
oh, definitely, because I have that. I'm not just coming at them as like, you know, your typical like used car salesman.
Right.
I'm coming at them from a point of understanding. You know, I can relate to what they're going through, and knowing, okay, this is why, you know, no, we can't be this product. I wish we could be that for you, but no, we can't be, you know, and I wish there was an easier way so that there was less overlap, so that they didn't have to purchase as many products as they do. But unfortunately, we're not there yet.
Yeah, I still submit that many MSPs are over-tooled.
I agree. I completely agree with all the overlap, but unfortunately, again, like I said, there's no single pane of glass out there, as much as we would like to see that.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, they kind of get some ideas, and then, you know, they think they can do something, and then they kind of get fatigue a bit, and they kind of hang on to it. But still, with that third point I made about growth, the MSPs are concerned about growth, so they're worried about multiplier of bottom line, so they've got to get rid of a lot of those expenses. So I hear them say things like tool consolidation. I mean, when I was an MSP, I never heard any MSPs say that, but it's just very different now.
Well, yeah, because we're so hyper focused on security, you know, and you have your, you know, alphabet soup, as I like to call it, but you have your EDRs, your MDRs, your all the different things, XDRs now. And so there's so many different things that you have for security, and that's just part of it, you know, and that's not what it takes to run all these programs and everything else, you know, with your RMMs and your PSAs and everything else. So, you know, at the end of the day, most people are using 3 or 4 products that there's going to be a lot of overlap with. So that's one of the nice things I like about our product is we're just a SIM. We're not an EDR trying to be a SIM, you know. So, and we're not a SIM trying to be an EDR. We're a SIM.
What's a SIM?
A SIM is basically it's a information and event management system. So what we do is we collect logs, and we run threat detections, look for bad actors, and look for anomalies.
It's such a wide array of products and different attack vectors that they can come in on. There's not one product that can fit everything.
Right.
So when it comes to security, they have to be aware of what all those attack surfaces are and what product can they use to defend. It's tough for the MSP.
Very, very, because, you know, like I said, most of the time they're going to have products that overlap each other and do the same thing. And nobody wants to pay extra money to have a redundant system. But, you know, you also have to look at the product itself.
Yes.
Do you want to save money by avoiding a certain thing or cutting back on a certain thing? Or is it more important that you actually get what's going to work?
Does Blumera only work with MSPs?
No, we also have a direct sales.
And does that ever conflict with MSPs? Is there ever concern about that?
So our the way we work with MSPs is we have it's free for our MSPs to use us. They only have to pay for their customers. Well, when they get their customers, we actually have a free edition that they can put their customers on, and I highly encourage them to do that.
Interesting.
Because once they're in our system, should that customer go to our direct sales department and be like, hey, I'm looking at this, as soon as they put that information in our system, it's going to pop up, and then they notify us. That way, we're able to actually reach out to our MSPs and keep that very, very solid connection with them, so that our MSPs know we're never going to go behind their back and try and sell out from underneath them. We're going to connect with them and say, hey, your customer just reached out to us. Let's do a joint meeting with them. Or why don't you reach out to them and see if this is something that, you'd be interested in doing?
How do you like working with MSPs again?
I love it.
Yeah.
They're a different breed, and I actually get along with it. I always say, I'm a very awkward person, and so most MSPs, you find a lot of awkward people, and I just, water finds its own level, as my mom always said, and I feel like I found my own level.
Has there been anything in the last month or so, Kass, that you changed your mind on?
Anything I've changed my mind on? No, not really.
Nothing.
I'm trying to think if there's anything now. I mean, I'm traveling more now, which I absolutely love. But
and so do you change your mind typically on anything?
Yes, I do.
Just I
can be convinced. I spent years being a financial advisor. Was very, very good at my role. In a very good spot. And did really well. And decided that I wanted to come over here instead.
Why?
One, because I love the community. I love the people, and I am a people person. The second reason is because financial advising is very stressful. Very stressful. Oh yeah, people would call you any glitch in the market, and my clients would be panicking and like, oh, I got to pull my funds, I got to do this, So it was always this high level, of stress with me. So.
Yeah, that can be stressful. We just see what's happened recently with this DeepSeek, right?
Yes.
The market came down and all this AI thing. It's kind of returned back, but it's interesting, those kinds of things, those disruptors, how they affect financial advisors. I never considered that.
Yep. So I'm looking, on the outside now, more so. I'm looking in going, I'm glad. I almost feel like I dodged a bullet there.
Really?
Yeah, with everything going on right now in the economy. So, yeah.
So Kass, I started my MSP in the 90s. I was not paying attention to myself, 14, 16-hour days. You're very familiar with this, I'm sure. And next thing I know, I'm at the doctor, and I'm at 340 pounds. And she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was born, scared the heck out of me. Lost 130 pounds. People ask me how. I always say discipline. Focus, I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life.
Discipline plays a huge role when it comes to being in the MSP space, because you have to be able to tell people no. And that's it takes a lot of discipline too, because as a salesperson, you want to be a people pleaser. You want everyone to be happy and everyone to love you and things like that. And you never want to tell people no. But when you're doing in the space I'm at right now, we're a SIM. People are like, hey, can you do EDR? Nope, we're a SIM. And so it takes a lot of discipline to stay focused on that. To set your goals and be like, okay, it's okay to tell people no. And it's okay to do these things. Also, it takes a lot of discipline to know when to, okay, I've traveled enough. Maybe I need to pull it back some, things like that. So, but for the most part, I noticed that, just telling people no requires a lot of discipline. That's one thing I've learned.
Because salespeople want to sell.
Oh yeah,
they want to sell.
It's ingrained in our soul.
And sometimes false promises can happen.
They do happen a lot, and everybody will tell you, there's the used car sale, the typical used car salesman, and you can usually spot them from a mile away.
Yes.
And I never want to be that person. I never want to be the used car salesman. I want to be able to tell people no, but do it in a way that I'm hopefully not upsetting them. But I believe transparency should be the number one thing in your head when you're in sales right now, especially in the MSP community.
Yeah, it's very, very tough because so many MSPs, I'm just going to generalize here, Kass, but they're just not good at organic sales and marketing. So when they start to get better at it, they want to sell, and sometimes it's just the opposite happens. Sometimes they go too far.
Right.
You got to pull yourself back.
Yep, and I believe if you really keep the idea of being 100% transparent, it's going to solve so many issues in the long run. You're not going to have bad reputations. You're not going to have people coming back at you. I mean, you still will. There's always going to be that one person that says, I don't remember you saying that, something like that. But for the most part, if you're honest, you never have to remember your lie.
Yeah, that's right. You got to have a good memory when you're a liar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And remember what you told this person or told that person,
Right.
And so just be transparent. Just be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, the truth is easier to remember.
Right.
Yeah, that is for sure. What motivates you, Cass?
Motivates me. Well, I'm a people pleaser, so
Yes.
that's one main
People
thing.
pleaser.
I am. And so I always love to go around and see how many people I can meet, and and what makes them tick and what makes them happy, things like that. So that's one motivator. Other than that, I don't know, I just wake up wanting to be a better person than I was yesterday.
Yeah, you've got so much energy, but
I do.
because it's great, it's contagious. I'm feeling it. But being that people pleaser can conflict with sales, like you said, because sometimes you have to say no and you're not pleasing someone.
Right. And that's why I said that's where that discipline comes in.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to be like, oh, yeah, well, we'll see if we can do that. That's what was always my go-to is, well, let me see. And now I can just, honestly, I'm like, no, we don't do that. We won't do that. Sorry. But, how important is that to you? That's what I've learned. And sometimes you have to tell people, we're just not the fit for you.
Yeah. So given that motivation of pleasing, how do you measure success?
You know what? It's hard to say. I mean, I have my measurements and my goals, of course, for work.
Sure.
But personally, if I can come to an event like this and run into a bunch of people I know, that to me is a success.
That's success.
Or if I am sitting somewhere and people gravitate towards me, that's a huge success. If people want to spend time with me, that's always to me, that's probably one of my favorite things is knowing people want to just be around me and spend time with me.
Impact. Yeah. Yeah. So your message to MSPs. So let's say you do say no. They want something you can. What's your message at that point? I have somebody who might be able to help, or thanks so much. How do you deal with that when you have to say no to somebody?
When I have to say no, if it's a deal breaker, I will 100% say, okay, well, why have you talked to this company or that company? Because if they're not going to come with us, they're not going to come with us. So why would I do them a disservice by not trying to still help them? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't do me any favors. So if I know something that's going to be a better fit, I'll tell them. There's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of companies are too busy putting down other companies and putting down their competition to try to make themselves look better when you can make yourself look better by actually helping.
Do you think eventually you would like to own an MSP?
No.
That was a very quick answer. Why?
Because I saw what my husband went through. I am not about herding cats, and I swear that's what MSPs have to do 90% of the time is herd cats. So no, that just sounds like a horror story to me.
I sold mine in 2019. I don't miss it, but I do sympathize and empathize with it because it's just vastly different now. It's just security, and the tools are more sophisticated, and there's certain areas that are less difficult, but it's just so different now. And dealing with people is everything.
Yep.
Yeah. How long have you been at Blumera?
A year.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So.
They're a great company. I was sorry when I heard that Jeremy left.
Yeah. It was one of those. Oh gosh, this is going to be a hard one to talk about. But honestly, everybody has their skill sets.
Yes.
And Jeremy he's wicked smart, super talented, and he has a skill set. He came to Blumera and did what he set out to do. He really did. He put together a great MSP team. I worked with some amazing, amazing people. And so he accomplished that. And I think for him, it was time to go move on to the next big adventure, which it's fair. Why not?
So your final thought and message to MSPs here in Houston is?
Come find me and talk to me.
Cass, thanks so much for your time.
Oh,
I love your
you.
energy. I really appreciate setting this up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.